Okay, I like that.
I'll have to use that term at school today.
No. Oh, God. Yeah, he's a... We're not going to get it. We don't have time. It's cold down here. It's cold. Hello and welcome to another edition of Popcorn Bucket List. It is freezing down here.
It is
surprisingly
cold.
Freezing. So we're not, screw the decorum. We're just gonna go straight into opening spotlight so we can get out of here quickly because we got a lot to talk about.
Yes.
It's a busy month in September here. The Woman King wins the weekend box office, but doesn't win the accuracy office.
Whoop.
Is that the lamest joke I've ever done, or somewhat clever? I don't know. I'm still debating.
It's not the lamest, and it was somewhat clever. It was an okay. I would say it was a good dad joke.
I can't tell if you saying it's not the lamest is a compliment or an insult. So I'm just going to say it's both. But basically what we're talking about here is the Woman King took over for the box office, but there has been some criticisms as far as its inaccuracy. I didn't get a ton of time to research all the historical inaccuracies here, but one of the things I think people early on were talking about is the trailer didn't get into the fact that in real life this group was actually kind of a part of the slave trade. You had kind of different tribes and groups here in this area, and so they were kind of at war where they just kind of keep capturing each other and selling them off.
Yep.
And thus the slave trade happened, as this was the 1800s. The 1800s are pretty much known for just that one thing.
Yeah.
Name one other big thing that happened in the 1800s other than everything revolving around slavery.
Yeah.
If there was a century we could just kind of skip over or redo, I'd like a redo on that one. But the movie, I think, does actually kind of get into this. Probably not as much as it should have, but it does actually get into this. So I think it does kind of correct itself in that way. But the main thing I kind of want to talk about here today is what are some movies that we've seen that we think are good historical representations, or ones that are based on a true story that we think actually are a pretty good representation of a true story. Because whenever you get into arguments like these, it's always like, well, you got to take licenses when you're telling a scripted narrative.
Yep. And are you trying to be more entertaining, or are you trying to be more factual to the facts, you know? And yeah, it's a great, like, one of my favorite movies is 300, and that's somewhat based on an actual event, but obviously a lot of it is dramatized. It's made to be an entertaining movie about something. So, it's in the same boat. I like the movie, but it was way over dramatized and story stretched than the reality of it.
And to your point, actually, when Viola Davis was kind of approached this in an interview, she actually kind of said, well, if we made it an educational documentary thing, not as many people are in the seats. It's not number one at the box office then. And you could make an argument that now more people know about this story, at the very least, and have been kind of doing the research and pointing out the inaccuracies, because this dramatized film that isn't 100% accurate kind of shined a spotlight on it. She's basically like, yeah, we could have just made a documentary, but then not as many people would have seen it. It would have made as much money, and et cetera, which sounds very capitalistic, like greed kind of thing. But at the same time, it's like, well, it did get more eyeballs to it. So what is the line? I think she called it edutaining. Edutaining, I think is what she called it. It's like a mixture of education and entertaining. So speaking of like historical accuracy, one that I want to bring up that I think is really kind of the best way to do this, I wish more people would do it this way, is a perfect double feature between a documentary and a scripted movie is Won't You Be My Neighbor, documentary, and A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood, the scripted film. I remember having a conversation one time where I had seen both, and they were like, well, which one do you think is better? I was like, I really couldn't tell you which one was better because they both told the story differently. If you want to know about Mr. Rogers' life, you watch the documentary. If you want to know the effect he had on other people's lives, watch the scripted movie. And you really don't get into Mr. Rogers' life so much. You just kind of see the impact he had, which is a important part of what he lived to do for, but it doesn't really show like the details of his life.
Yep.
So it really couldn't be inaccurate so much. I mean, unless they like throughout that movie said he also murdered a guy. That'd be pretty inaccurate. Unless there's something we don't know.
Yeah.
If that ended up being true, my whole reality would shatter.
Well, and a lot of the things from the film seem like very plausible. Like, oh, he gets noticed on the subway and some people start singing a song. That seems very plausible. Mm-hmm. That could have happened once a week.
I think I read that did happen.
Yeah.
That was actually a thing that happened. But yeah, that's kind of what we're talking about here. What is the line? I don't know. I've kind of have my opinions on it. I think more often than not, you should, if you're going to do something that is based on someone's real life and you're going to keep like the same names and everything, just do a documentary. But with that, let's move on to the weekly preview. Like I said, a lot going on. September is busier than the last few months of the summer months, it feels like right now.
Yeah.
We've had more to talk about these past few weeks.
There's a lot.
Than the couple months prior. So let's just get into it right away on Wednesday, September 21st, already out by the time this video is out. Meet Cute. This is coming straight to Peacock, starring Kaylee Cuoco. Somehow she gets access to a time machine tanning bed. At this point, what haven't we made into a time machine at this point?
How many films are we going to talk about reliving the same day over and over?
Yeah, it's essentially like a relive the same day thing, only this time it's by choice. It's not like some curse or whatever. Yeah. But she basically relives the same meet cute first date with SNL alum Pete Davidson because at this point he's just having a date with every female in Hollywood at this point.
Good for him.
Yeah, good for him, I guess. But it looks like it may have some fun time travel humor. Plus, I am a sucker for time travel subject matter. There is that one joke where they even this always comes up with time travel movies. Like, why didn't you go back in time and, like, kill Hitler or something like that? And she goes, well, I didn't kill him, but I killed this other guy. And Pete Davidson's like, what guy? And she's like, exactly. And it's like, oh, wait, was there a guy worse than Hitler in this reality? Was there a nega Hitler, like a worse Hitler maybe? I don't know. But so it does look pretty funny. These are funny individuals. I think Kaylee Cuoco is getting better and better ever since she left since Big Bang Theory ended.
I agree. I think she has been getting better and more serious, but more funny. But you can just tell, I think she's taking her acting more seriously. And it's not saying she didn't take it seriously before, but she's definitely a better actor now than she was.
You can tell everyone was on autopilot by the 12th season of Big Bang Theory, though. Like, everyone was on autopilot at that point.
Yep.
Coming out Thursday, September 22nd, straight to Shudder, it's Raven's Hollow. It's a story starring the character of Edgar Allan Poe. Edgar Allan Poe was a real-life poet who went on to write The Raven. This is not one of his stories. It's just a story that somebody wrote Edgar as a character, essentially.
Yeah.
It sounds kind of complicated, but there is, again, talking about historical accuracy, there was a moment where he was in the military, so this movie kind of takes place when he was, like, in the military. It wasn't during wartime, though.
I think they're trying to frame it as this is the events that inspired him to write some of his works.
Including The Raven.
Yeah. Yep. And whether or not that has any validity, no idea.
Yeah.
But it's a Shudder exclusive, so it's going to be awesome.
Well, and again, bringing up the whole... when are you historically accurate or whatever, I feel like, to your point, they're kind of just saying, look, this is just a hypothetical account that we made up, and we're acknowledging that. Yeah. We're not saying any of this happened necessarily. They're just saying, hey, Edgar Allan Poe was in the military at one point. Nobody really talks about that.
Yeah.
What if this was the inspiration for some of his, greatest stories, you know, including The Raven. The Raven's such a, well-known and good story that even The Simpsons, when they parodied it during one of their Treehouse Horror things, they just quoted it straight up. They just had Homer quote it straight. Like even they knew they couldn't touch the Raven.
Yeah.
Just above my chamber door, perched upon a bust of Pallas, just above my chamber door, perched and sat, and nothing more.
Don't I crispy, shorn, and shaven, thou?
I said,
But sure no craven, ghastly, grim, and ancient raven wandering from the nightly shore. Tell me what thy lordly name is on the nice Plutonian shore.
Quoth the Raven.
Eat my shorts.
Bart, stop it. He says nevermore, and that's all he'll ever say.
Okay.
Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.
Let's take a quick break here and talk a little bit about the Marshall 6 Theater here in Marshall, Minnesota. As we mentioned before, September has become a busy, busy month. A lot of new movies, so a lot of fresh new movies here at the Marshall 6, so check out their showtimes on their website. Also, if you have rewards points, you're going to want to redeem those pretty quickly as they do expire here towards the end of the year. So you got a few months to check out some new movies, get some fresh concessions, and check that out all at the Marshall 6 Theater.
Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.
But Friday was when we kick off the weekend here. Again, still a lot to talk about here. So let's just start things off with the big release, Don't Worry, Darling, coming out September 23rd, straight to theaters. Kind of looks like a trippy sort of movie. You're not really sure what's going on, with a star-studded cast, including but not limited to Florence Pugh, Chris Pine, Harry Styles, Olivia Wilde, who also wrote and directed this movie. Unfortunately, it feels like a lot of the movie press has been clouded by the behind-the-scenes drama and not the movie itself.
Yeah, the spit take.
Spitgate was a big thing. Even before that, there was like rumors like Florence Pugh and Olivia Wilde weren't getting along. Chris Pine and Harry Styles were beefing. Who knows? Like Shia LaBeouf was going to be in this, but then he got fired. No, he didn't get fired. He quit. No, he didn't quit. It was mutual. Like,
yeah, there's a lot going on there.
It's unfortunate. This is going to be one of those movies that the behind the scenes is going to be more interesting than the movie.
Yeah.
And
I'm so excited to see the movie. It looks trippy, and like there's a thing with like dancing zombies, it looks like. So I don't know. It looks cool. Mm-hmm. I want to see it.
I'm looking forward to it just for Florence Pugh.
Yep.
I think she's batting 100 at this point. Also coming out that same weekend, Athena, coming to Netflix. It is a French film about, it looks like some sort of revolution is going on that involves a lot of fireworks.
A lot of fireworks.
Like, holy cow,
we're
on the
talking,
fireworks here.
More than snakes and sparklers.
Yes.
We're talking mortars.
A lot of Roman candles.
A lot of Roman bottle rockets, all kinds of stuff.
Now, without getting in the movie, I just got to say, I have always thought fireworks is a great weapon in a revolution. Like, let's be honest. Nobody sees anyone walking around with a bunch of fireworks and thinks anything bad is going to happen there. But then when you got like a group of like thousands of individuals all pointing, like those are rocket launchers.
Yep.
I've had a few close calls with fireworks, closest I've ever come to death.
I would rather be shot with a firework than a bullet.
Yeah.
I would rather take a firework.
They're trying to
bullet.
say, look, back off, man, but we're not going to kill you. But back off, man. Yeah, so this might, I don't know if this revolution is going to be televised or live, but it will be the prettiest revolution ever.
Yes.
Also coming out on Netflix, A Jazzman's Blues, written and directed by Tyler Perry, but do not get this confused with one of his Medea movies. It is a very serious film. He's being serious now.
This is serious.
People. What does the trailer say? They're like, from acclaimed filmmaker Tyler Perry.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong. He's produced, he has directed a lot. He has done a lot of things. But it's hard for me to take you seriously calling him an acclaimed filmmaker when he's got like Medea Goes to Prison on his resume as well.
Yeah.
The story takes place in the Deep South. You can probably guess what the story of the forbidden love means in this case in 1800s Deep South. Once again, early 1900s, late 1800s, that kind of thing. So you can kind of guess what sort of historical context we're talking about there with forbidden love. But also there's some sort of unsolved murder that happens, but the trailer doesn't really get into that. I had to read that in like the synopsis. So like, and this all takes place and it all comes out because of an unsolved murder. I'm like, wait, did someone die in this trailer?
I didn't see any of that in the trailer.
That's how unsolved it is. They can't even find the murder victim themselves. It's just missing. And also coming out on Netflix, big weekend for Netflix, Lou, L-O-U, Lou. Wasn't this a Pixar short at one point?
Yes, it was.
Isn't that one where it's like an animate like playground thing comes to life? Or am I thinking of a different one?
Could be. I don't know.
I'm pretty sure it was a Pixar short.
I remember seeing that in like a very Disney or like cartoon font.
Yeah.
Not.
So I kind of was going into this thinking of the Pixar short.
Yeah.
This is not the Pixar short.
Pixar short.
This is best way I could put it. Allison Janney and Journey Smollett doing a Taken movie set in the woods.
Yeah.
A daughter is kidnapped, and Allison Janney kicks a lot of butt and
Yes,
kills
she
a lot
does.
of fools.
Yep.
Yeah, that's pretty much all the trailer gives you.
Pretty much it.
At this point, I was kind of getting sick and tired of watching trailers, so let's just move on. You got your pick of what to watch on Netflix this weekend.
Yes.
You got something to check out. Also coming out on Paramount Plus now, On the Come Up. It's basically a story about a young rapper on the rise, going through the ranks, showing the struggles of basically starting on the bottom, and is clearly talented. It's kind of implied that her father was maybe big in the rap world but died, and this might be just me speculating, but it kind of seems like she's trying to not let everyone know who she is because she kind of wants to make it on her own. Or at least the trailer never shows her being like, "Oh yeah, my father was this.
Yeah, my father was this.
This is my destiny. Like I'm destined to make this." It just kind of seems like she's trying to make it on her own. But as anyone will tell you, trying to start from the bottom to reach the top, it's
tough.
It's those first few steps are the toughest, especially. Yep. But finally coming out this time on Apple TV Plus, a documentary titled Sidney. Documentary about famous actor Sidney Poitier. Sidney actually died earlier in 2022. However, they had started filming this documentary beforehand, so they have some of the last interviews of him in this documentary. But they also have interviews from some of the biggest characters in the industry, including Denzel Washington, Oprah, Spike Lee, Morgan Freeman, Halle Berry. I'm sure I'm missing a few in there too.
I'm sure there's a ton
that are in this. But yeah, he was a revolutionary actor. Came from the Bohemian Islands, I believe it was.
I believe that's what he said. Yep.
And yeah, was like one of the first African American actors to like make it in Hollywood and blaze trails and
was the first to win an Academy Award.
Yes, very true. They call me Mr. Tibbs. You've probably heard that quote. That was him. Yeah, very influential. Going to be an interesting documentary on that one.
Yes.
But let's move into some number one recommends, talk about what we've seen recently that we think you guys should check out. Ryan, fresh off the press, we saw this movie last night, so I'm going to let you take it away. What's your number one recommend?
So my number one recommend this week is a prequel to a film that came out earlier this year. The film is called Pearl, and it is, like I said, a prequel to the film X that we watched earlier this year, and it was pretty awesome. Pearl was great. Mia Goth. She's awesome in it. She plays a deranged psychopath killer person. You just got to watch it. I will say is pretty disturbing. There's a lot of killing, maybe some other stuff. But I enjoyed it. I really liked some of the action, and there was 2 scenes in there that were, I would say, more of a long take, and she definitely gives a performance in this. It's just straight on her face, and it's a very, very long sequence, and she does a great job on both of them. Very unsettling. So that's my pick, Pearl, for this week.
I'm going to talk about something a little, I was going to say less graphic, but actually there's a few disturbing scenes in this one too, now that I think about it. This Sunday is the 35th anniversary of the release of The Princess Bride. About a week ago, I just kind of randomly put it on just because I wanted to watch a little bit of the beginning. I ended up watching about half of the movie before I realized I was late for the thing I had to go to. And then I watched the other half, and I'm just so in love with this movie. I'll go on record and say it's one of the most quotable movies of all time. I truly believe that. And yeah, it does have a couple disturbing sequences where he's fighting the rodent of unusual size and everything, and when he's down in the torture chamber, but it's still so funny to me. There's so many quotes that are just so funny. The part where he's like, "You're in the pit of despair. Don't even think about trying to escape." He just, I don't know. It just knocks me out every time. Yeah, that's our recommends here. One involves a psychopathic murder, and the other one is named Pearl. And yes, I am talking about there are psychopathic murderers in The Princess Bride as well. The six-fingered man, he just kills fools for no reason. But that's going to do it for us here on this episode of Popcorn Bucket List. If you have any of your own recommendations, let us know in person or in the comments down below on this YouTube channel. And for myself and Ryan Meyerberg, we'd like to thank you so much for watching, and we will see you at the movies. As you wish.